Hey, welcome friends, here we are. I have no idea what the date is. I usually tell you the date and stuff, but I usually have my laptop in front of me, which I haven't because we're in the middle of editing the video from our retreat. So Marie's still working on it while I'm here. We've been beavering away on it all morning, importing all the photos and the video snippets from various parts of our retreat, and stitching them together, and then basically, the thing starts off at like 10 minutes and we try and get it down to under 4, which is, quite the task, editing out things because there's so much, so many good photos and so many good bits of video that it's always the cutting it down bit that's the hard bit. Anywho, so here we are, it's Drops of Light. No, it's not Drops of Light, it's Chat with Matt. It's half an hour with me. And we're in the bright light. No, we're in the bright light facilitate. No, we call it bright light beings. I can see I'm more with it. Hey, Sister Jane, someone's going to have to help me out here. It's the bright light beings group. It's Chat with Matt. It's half an hour live stream talking about anything. The only bit of I did quickly look before I jumped on this. If there was any questions put in my notification post, the only thing that Sam wrote was she's looking forward to hearing about the retreat. So the retreat went well. The retreat went really well. It was a little bit nervy to start with when we first got here. We weren't quite sure about the food situation and stuff. Hey, Sister Jane. We weren't quite sure. So, because vegetarian isn't a big part of the culture here. It's mainly fish and chicken. And it's pretty relaxed. Everyone's super relaxed. So it's hard to know. Super relaxed is great. Hey, Sister Sharma. Super relaxed is really great for running a retreat, but it's hard to tell at first whether they're super relaxed because they've got it all in hand, or they're super relaxed because they just don't care. Luckily, it was the first case. The manager of the hotel or the resort where we were staying was just super relaxed, and he had it all together. But at first, it was really hard to tell. And so we ran around, trying to dot the I's and cross the T's and make sure we had contingencies in place and had food available if we had to prepare something, because we had a couple of vegans on the retreat, and that's not something that's super well catered for in general. It's not advertised that it's catered for anyway on the island so much, but in the end it was absolutely fine. But we had stocks of chia seeds, and we were going to make extra breakfasts and stuff with coconut milk and all the rest of it. But in the end, they just did it all, and we didn't need to do all of that preparation. But it never hurts to prepare. The reason that Marie and I can relax so much into delivering a retreat is that we do all of the work first. We have all the preparation done so that we're reasonably confident that we can cover any contingency if it arises. So we can, circumvent anything going, too far wrong, quote unquote wrong. So yeah, prior preparation really helps you to relax into not needing to be stressed on the day. And then we were just pleasantly surprised and everything flowed so well. So the retreat was awesome. Awesome. Some of them are back in New Zealand now. Some of them are still over on Rarotonga extending their holiday. Those who are back, we just got a message from someone who came back into New Zealand. It was a little bit of a rude shock getting home and coming through, the airport and stuff in New Zealand. Yeah. Can someone let me know, Jane, if the sound sounds okay? Because I have actually plugged in my little microphone because I'm sitting outside and it is a little bit windy. Interestingly as well, the weather's turned. This is the worst day that we've experienced on the island since we got here 2 weeks ago, and it's the day after the retreat finished. So that's interesting. That the weather's had a little rest from putting it on. We had, for the retreat, we just had like six superb days in a row. Jill wrote in, a Jamaican friend tells me that things run on island time. Yes, it is exactly the same here. It is very much island time. And when you relax into that, it's not a problem. Lots of interference. That's probably more, the interference is more a reference to the internet connection rather than the sound quality, and not much I can do about, to be perfectly honest. We have internet here, but it's not the most it's not the fastest internet I've ever experienced in the world, that is for sure. It runs on island time as well. Yeah, the internet definitely runs on island time here, which is fine. Again, once you settle into it, it takes a while. You're used to hitting a button and then seeing something happen straight away. And at first you muck it up because you hit a button, nothing happens, and then you start trying to fiddle with things, wondering why nothing's working, until you realise that you just have to slow down. Because as soon as you hit the second button to find out why it didn't happen the first time, then you just overload the system even more, and it gets more and more entangled. Life's a bit like this, really. So if you can relax into the idea that things take time, you hit the button and then you just wait patiently for the action to occur that you're intending to occur, and that might take anywhere between 3 seconds when you're used to it being instantaneous, up to 10, 15 or even 30 seconds if you're used to things just happening in 1 or 2 seconds, right? As you readjust to slow, the popping in and out is more likely not the concern of the microphone, but more the internet. Thanks, Jill. Hopefully the if you watch it in replay, it'll probably happen much more fluidly with less of that interruption. That's what I found in the past, that sometimes live streams can be a little bit frustrating to watch live and much better to watch in replay. Although if there was no one here live, then I wouldn't be able to get any questions, so please don't all think, oh, I'll bugger off and watch it in replay. That's interesting, Jane. I didn't think I'd got much of a tan. I've been pretty careful with the sun, but yeah, I've probably got a bit of a tan. I'll probably get a bit more now that everyone's gone. The last thing you need to do is get too much sun when you're facilitating a retreat, because you don't need an added intensifier of feeling a bit sunburnt, or worse, getting a headache from being dehydrated when you're actually holding the energy of the space for all of the people as well. So I'm pretty conservative with the sun when the retreat is running, and I'll probably be a little bit more. My tan will probably improve over the next couple of weeks now that we have some time for our own retreat. Basically, once Maria and I get this video finished and get a few things like that done, we'll have a bit more time. Of course, I'm still working, doing sessions and showing up for this stuff and whatnot, but we will have a bit more time to slow down and spend more time on that beautiful beach that's behind me. I don't know if you can see the sand. It's pretty hard to see where the water starts and the sand finishes, but it's basically out there. It's all a little bit overexposed. Again, not much I can do about that because I'm sitting under a veranda looking out at the beach. Sorry, just messed everything up. There's my outside shower that you can see in the background, the shower head. Jill wrote, I was in rural North Devon, England last week and was in slow-mo time there too. Yeah, it is wonderful. It is exactly wonderful. It's really good to slow down. It was a big part of the retreat too, just to slow down. It's always fascinating. Everyone gets off the plane and off the little shuttle bus, and the shuttle bus from the airport to the retreat is like 5 minutes. And that's not to say that we can hear airport noise all day, because there's only 2 or 3 planes that come in a day onto this island. And I haven't even heard those, to be honest, even though the airport is just a few minutes down the road. The runway sticks out into the thing. I don't think we hardly hear it. Anyway, not that I've noticed. But yeah, they get off the van, and everyone's sort of like, a bit strung out still after travelling. And by the time we're sort of putting them back on the plane, we almost need to prop them up. They're so relaxed. It's quite amazing to see what the difference a week on an island, especially as the retreat participants, because they just don't need to think about anything. Don't need to, everything just happens. Everything just happens. They don't have to make many decisions at all, which is awesome, right? Because it really allows people to have a deep reset, which is so valuable and beneficial for our nervous systems and our overall health, to just have a proper holiday. So many people do holidays and they're just so busy trying to get it all in the short amount of time that they have available for their holiday, because we've constructed this crazy world where we work either 48 or 49 weeks of the year, and then we have 3 or 4 weeks off to have a holiday. And of course people want to make the most of their holiday and have experiences and stuff, so they don't actually get a rest, and then wonder why 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years on their body is in chronic stress. and in burnout mode, adrenal fatigue and all the rest of it, because they just haven't given themselves, many people just don't give themselves permission to switch off the stress, having to make decisions, having to get it right, having to stay safe. And when you can relax into a retreat experience where you trust the people who are facilitating, that they're keeping you safe, that they're going to make sure you're fed, they're going to make sure you get to bed on time, they're going to make sure you have the experiences in a relaxed way where you don't need to worry about any of the organisation, right? Then that reset can occur, and that nervous system can have a chance to shut down and find a new foundation to continue from. Awesome, I love that, Jill. Managed to dip in the sea. The sea here is like 26 degrees or 27 degrees. It's ridiculously warm. I went for a dip last night. I just showed up on their little motor scooter next door. Like even sort of on dusk and even with a bit of breeze flowing, you think, oh, it's a bit cool, and you jump in the ocean, you go, oh, no, it's not. The ocean's just beautiful. You can just float in it, put your mask and snorkel on, and just straight out there, there's like coral heads and fish and stuff doing all of its things, clams and all sorts of starfish and sea anemones and whole world going on, and it's like 30-second, 20-second walk from my front door to being facing the water. Insanely good fortune, really. But not so much lucky, but glad that made decisions that have ended up in this occurring. And it wasn't easy. It's not easy. It's not easy for me to choose to take the risk to do something like this when I, am reasonably content at home, reasonably content, don't feel lack, and yet there's more. So it's allowing yourself to, I talked to a few people on the retreat because I was talking about contentment quite a bit, and a lot of people are concerned that if they find contentment, then they will stop the process of evolution, right? They will stop improving. They will stop looking for more. If you're happy with what's right now, why would you look for more? The air temperature was 22 degrees and the sea was lower than that. I can imagine the sea was a lot lower than that, Jill. I know at home I swim in the sea when it's 15 or 16, and that's refreshing, but definitely doable. Anyway, what was I saying? Contentment, and allowing yourself to because the thing is, once you relax fully into contentment, then what starts to arise is your soul desires, right? These deeper desires to express yourself expansively, these deeper desires to have experiences that go beyond the normal and the everyday. Your ego is no longer needing to prove itself through experiences, so you lose one form of driver, which is your ego trying to either stay safe, or your ego trying to be appreciated or accepted by others, or your ego trying to do what it thinks it's supposed to do in order to be good, right and proper, whatever the training is around that, which might be to travel and to see things, and so you have things to tell others that, wow, I've just done this, and wow, I've just done that, I've just climbed this mountain, when you relax out of, or you relax into contentment and relax out of that need to egoically experience things in order to be good, right and proper, in order to be excited, in order to perhaps distract yourself from the pain that you're feeling, because a lot of us use that too. We use change as a distraction from what we're hiding from within us, right? We don't like to be still for too long because stuff starts to naturally arise that we don't feel capable of dealing with. When you move through that process of finding acceptance around the stuff that you're hiding from, when you move into, now someone's shown up to do a little bit of work on their property. Turn a camera on and a microphone, and you find all sorts of things pop up sound-wise, potentially distractions, but not necessarily. But when you relax out of either needing to avoid what you're hiding from, or needing to prove yourself to others by doing exciting things or new things or whatever it is, and just settle into contentment, there is a period of time where you've become a little inert. That is true. I found that definitely for myself, that, oh yeah, I'm just content to sit here. I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to try hard. This has been going on for most of this year. And I was quite aware of it, that I wasn't really progressing my business. I wasn't really reaching out. I wasn't really creating new programs or doing all that. I was basically finding a foundation in contentment for my beingness, which is really, really profound. And that's adding on, and it's going to be very much a part of the next 6 weeks up until when our next retreat starts. And I just get to blob out here on this island, hopefully, although I still haven't sorted out immigration yet. We'll just see. That's another story for another day. But yeah, as you sort of settle into that inertia, as you relax deeper and deeper into just the state of contentment and beingness, then a different level of desire starts arising within you. The desire to basically, on a soul level, express yourself in more expansive ways. The egoic desire to get it right, or to be safe, or to be accepted by others sort of diminishes. And now the soul, you're still enough to basically feel and intuit and even hear your soul desires coming through. And so you start choosing to do things because it feels expansively joyful, as opposed to choosing to do things because you think that's the right thing to do, right? The right thing to do from your egoic sort of analysis of the situation, or your emotional desires, right? To cessate various lacks within you. When we relax out of that lack, it's not that the lack is gone. Like, I'm still aware that I have, emotional needs and desires, and I have lack mentalities that are influencing me to do certain things, but I also have more and more, slowly but surely, more and more of the soul influence coming through, and I can distinguish the difference better, not completely, but better. It's an ongoing improvement that I'm sure is going to continue for the rest of my breathing days on this planet. But we can choose from that space. So we start to move out of the inertia of just satisfied with our beingness into the activity of satisfied with our beingness, expressing ourselves expansively, but without any sort of contraction around needing to be successful, because the success of it isn't so important anymore. I'm going to quickly read Jill's before it scrolls too far. Hey, Brother Glenn. I encountered an elderly lady on a footpath one day who was staring at the hedge. I stopped and stood with her, looking too. Eventually, she showed me the wild orchids she'd found. Instant connection happened. Yeah, beautiful. Exactly. Moments of stillness. It's the same. I notice that when I'm diving, when I'm snorkeling on the reef here, you can be in the mindset where you want to keep moving, looking for the wow, looking for the moray eel, looking for the giant clam, looking for the bigger fish, looking for something that's more colourful than you've ever seen, right? And you can swim around, and it's beautiful and amazing, and you're taking it all in. But there's other times where you can just basically settle into stillness around a coral head that has something going on, and when you stop and just float there in stillness, then you notice the nuances, you notice the intricacies, you notice the small things that are going on. Some of the fish that were hiding start to come out. Their normal life starts to return because there's no longer a big thing moving. Now the big thing has become, the big thing being a human, has become static, and they've relaxed. And now that little part of the world comes alive, and as you allow your focus to tune into seeing the little intricacies and nuances and subtleties of the experience sort of goes wah and expands out, and you see much more deeply that same scene, right? You connect into the scene and have a deeper connection, and you start, for me, I start wondering what's going on in their mind, what's watching the pattern at certain fish, and watching the interactions between certain species and certain fish of the same species and certain different things, and seeing how the symbiotic relationship is occurring, and of course not understanding it all fully, but still being in the wonder and the curiosity of it all. And it takes you much, much deeper than just this sort of visual thing where you swim by, recognize, oh, there's a big fish, oh, there's a colourful fish, oh, where's that moray eel? Maybe it's down there, maybe I'll dive down and look into that hole, maybe I'll, and you're just moving, and you're looking for the mind to have the satisfaction of categorizing things and ticking boxes. Oh, I've seen that. Oh, look, I've just seen that. Right, and you miss some of the experience. Now, so that's an analogy, like being on the reef and looking into that, or as you pointed out, looking into the hedge and noticing the orchid, and then marveling at that beauty. And then perhaps you'll see some little insects moving on the orchid, right? And then you'll perhaps see how certain things are supporting the orchid. Da, 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 da. We go into the experience more deeply. We can do that same thing with the rest of our lives, right? With our relationships, with how we move, how we walk down the street. You can be, allow yourself just to be in that sort of normal mentality of noticing and categorizing things. Oh, yeah, there's a big person, there's a dark person, there's this person, there's that person. Oh, that person's got this. There's a young person, there's an old person, there's a fat person, there's a thin person. Da, da, da. Categorizing. Oh, there's a rich person, there's a poor person. But can you allow yourself to have a deeper experience of that whole scene, right? Can you allow yourself to go more deeply? It's not wrong to categorize things. It's not wrong to have the surface experience. But how often do you allow yourself to have the deeper experience? And it's not that you have to have the deeper experience all the time, or we wouldn't get to the shop and buy what we were going to buy, right? Or purchase what we needed, or do what we needed, and you get to the bank, post the check, do whatever, right? Whatever was important. There's a reason that our minds work in this sort of efficient way of categorizing things and putting things in boxes, because it helps us function in the world, helps us move through the world effectively. Efficiently. We get things done, and there's nothing wrong with getting things done, but are we overly prioritizing getting things done and missing the experience of being here, right? Missing the experience of the existence in this now moment, right? What is happening right now in front of you? What's available? Awesome. Jill wrote, I swim with multiple fish in Madeira. I think I said that right. I could have said it wrong. And immerse in their existence too. Yeah, immerse in their existence. I love that phrase. Warmer water there too. Exactly. Warmer water helps because you can stay still without feeling cold. That's definitely... and I think that's part of the joy of being in tropical climates, is that it's easier to slow down. Naturally, things move slower here. In colder climates, traditionally in a colder climate, we have to work harder to survive. It's just, that's the way it's always been. There's not an abundance of fruit just dripping from the trees. We have to work hard through the summer months to store enough food to get through the winter months, right? And traditionally in the winter months, we stayed quite still, sort of held up in our little fish. That was a big flurry. What happens is the little fish swim in schools here, and then a big trevally or something will come through and hunt them out and almost push them right up onto the shore. And then all of the birds, which are the brown noddy is the predominant shore bird here, because they don't really have seagulls. They have these brown noddies, which are sort of dark brown with a greyish head and little black webbed feet. But anyway, they come in and try and get some of the fish that are pushed out of the water. So it's just easier in warm climates to slow down rather than the colder climates where we've been sort of perpetuated into rushing around. Yeah, exactly, Glenn. I know that's part of your life too. Glenn said it. One of my most favourite pastimes, finding the beauty in the moment and stopping and observing. And I know Glenn, one of my mates from the film industry back in the day, who's an avid tramper. That's what we do, right? You walk into the bush and you find that stuff, and then when you get practice at doing it in the bush, then you can sort of find it, in your lounge room as well, or staring out the window in suburbia. It's there as well, right? It's easier to find when we go into nature. It's easier to find on a tropical island floating on a reef, but that doesn't mean that it's the only place we can find it. It just takes a little bit more. It takes a little bit more dedication, really, to find it in normal life, where the predominating energy around you of the rest of the collective, right, is in rushing survival, get ahead mode, the rat race. So it takes a little bit of effort to settle out of the influence of that energy, and part of the benefit of coming onto a retreat or going on holidays into a place where life moves much more slowly is the energy of the collective, the energy of the community is actually assisting you to slow down rather than resisting you slowing down, right? Which is what happens back in our normal world, our first world modern society, where it's all about getting ahead. It's all about how much money you can earn or how much you can get done, how much of your list you can tick off, which is just not so conducive, but at the same time is not impossible. What I love about coming on retreats is it helps you find a foundation in the slower pace and the desire and the recognition of the value in slowing down and observing life, which can then help you find the discipline and the devotion and the dedication to doing it later. I think your calendar's telling me I've got my Q&A call coming up next. I've got no idea what the time is. Oh yeah, it does tell me 25 minutes. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm up to. So I'll be doing Chat with Matt here pretty much. I do apologise. I have missed 2 weeks in a row, which wasn't my intent. But when we first got here, it did take us quite a bit to sort out the internet because it took us a while. There's specials and stuff that happens, how you can purchase your data here, and it took us a while to actually work through all of that so that we had adequate data and we weren't just chewing through it, and we weren't so busy running around here, there and everywhere trying to get stuff organised for the retreat. So yeah, the first week before the retreat started, I was a little bit busy, otherwise occupied, and then the week of the retreat, obviously I was fully in that. And it's only just been now, and they only just left, yesterday the last person left, so we're still quite busy, but we're slowing down. Stephanie wrote, I still see in workplaces get more done. How can we get more done? How can we be more efficient, etc.? But we often end up in another loop. Exactly. And from my experience, we actually can effectively get more done when we relax, right? We actually become, I believe, more efficient quite often when we slow down and let go of stress. I don't think stress, a lot of people think that they perform best when they're under pressure. And I get it. I understand that mentality. I understand that a lot of people need the motivation of the stick, right? Basically, if I don't get this done now, I'm in trouble, before they're willing to act. For me, over the last 5 or 6 years, I've been relaxing more and more into the desire to, at first it was to allow the carrot to motivate me, right? Because I wanted to achieve. And so therefore not so much worried about the stick, because not so much worried about getting in trouble or letting people down, but more influenced by the idea that as I applied effort, as I applied energy to a certain task, then I'd be more appreciated, or I'd be more satisfied with the outcome. Over the last year or two, I've even sort of relaxed out of needing that so much, and now, as I was sort of talking earlier, I went through this inert state of feeling quite satisfied with my beingness. And now I'm finding that a deeper level is arising, and I'm motivating myself from the soul. I think that's where our society's going, and it'll be more deep level joy that motivates us to basically get more done without having to apply more effort, because we will just naturally work more effectively. We will just naturally find alignments. We will just naturally click with people. There'll be less misunderstanding. There'll be less waste of effort. And more synchronicity and more natural efficiency in how we apply our energy and achieve results that are beneficial, win-win-win outcomes, where we're no longer having to sacrifice ourselves so much. Yeah, awesome, Jill. Jill said she took the trip up to Devon alone too, so I could see everything at my own speed, stop moving forward with no one to please but myself. Yeah, and I think that's really valid as well. Either finding people who we can align with to the point where we don't get caught up in people pleasing, or doing things on our own for a while. Of course, I don't believe solitary life suits most of us as humans. I think we are definitely herd creatures. I do know that as an introvert, it is very refreshing or very revitalizing, re-energizing to spend time alone or to spend time semi-alone, you know, not out in the general population. But at the same time, I don't think, you know, as they say in yoga, it's all very well to find peace in a cave in the Himalayas, but, you know, can you bring that peace back into the world? That's really what we're looking for, you know, an empowered sense of peace, an empowered sense of confidence. You know, it's all very easy to find peace where there's no distractions, but can you find peace in amongst the distractions? That's really what we look for. You know, it's easy to feel free when there's no limitations at all, but can you feel free when you know there's limitations all around you and you can work in a free way beyond that? Yeah, exactly. Stephanie said, I feel this. I see how those who become hyped up thinking that it's being in charge, but it also affects their energy in the room, and remaining relaxed allows me to think more clearly. Exactly. A lot of people use the old method of asserting their control over the situation by being authoritative and speaking louder and being more external, right? Being more forceful. A lot of people use force to get things done, and others of us are finding that we can, you know, just use our inner power to get things done. And we don't need to be forceful. We don't need to be extrovert. We don't need to be over the top. We don't need to be loud. We have the capacity to speak up when it's important, but sometimes the quiet voice commands the most attention, you know, when it's delivered with a real deep confidence in self. So, you know, authentic confidence arises from a deep soul connection, and you can't really hurry that up, and you can't fake it. You can't fake authentic confidence. It arises when you choose to do the work and connect with yourself, and slowly but surely peel away a lot of the resistance and the influence and the limitations that have built up, you know, much of which from past life, from being persecuted as a being of light on this planet. As we do the work and we move through all of that, we can express ourselves in ways, either vocally, verbally, or just in our presence, that commands attention, and we naturally find ourselves becoming more and more influential in all sorts of situations without having to forcefully take control, right? We don't forcefully take control, we just show up with authentic confidence and command a degree of influence that helps to achieve beneficial outcomes. You know, I personally hold intent that I'm moving in that direction, but it doesn't help to measure yourself and to try too hard to achieve that, right? Because you can't do it. If you're trying to achieve authentic confidence, you're going to be sabotaging yourself in doing it. You have to basically relax, and part of that is accepting that many of us are holding you know, remnants of pain and trauma in our field that limits our ability to do it. It doesn't stop us from doing it, but it just limits our ability to do it. And I know, I'm pretty sure that I'll be going through the clearing of that stuff for the rest of my days on this planet, and that's not a problem, because there's, you know, it's not yes or no. It's not am I authentically confident or am I not. It's how authentically confident am I, and I believe that range, that scale, is infinite in both directions. So it's impossible to measure what percentage you are on that path, because there's no completion to it. I believe all sentient beings are still progressing into a deeper connection with themselves and God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, the soul, the higher self, the all. We've all got further to go on that. We've all, not just humans, but we've all, you know, those in spirit, the great masters, are all progressing. You know, God is continuously expanding into infinity. There's no end to that. So there's always more happiness to be had. There's always a deeper level of joy. There's always a deeper level of love. There's always deeper levels of hate and pain to be experienced as well, and they're not wrong either. It's all part of the rich tapestry that helps, you know, we have this comparison thing, we have these polarities so that we can deepen the richness of the experience, right? If we were just bathing in the light and we had nothing to reference against it, then then how would we appreciate it? That's the point. So that's why God started dividing up to start with, right? And created individuations to have the experience, to experience the richness of what was available, of creation. And that's how it shall continue. Anyway, friends, I think I've done my half hour for today, this morning. It's 11 a.m. we start here, so it's coming up for 11, we've just gone 11:30 here. And I'm on Tuesday, not Wednesday. I'm in Hawaiian time here in the Cook Islands, so the end of the time zone spectrum, as opposed to New Zealand, which is the start. So we're not that far from New Zealand, but we cross the date line. So anyway, I'll speak to you again next week, if not sometime before. I'll try and... I do apologise if I've been torturing any of you with repeated photos of tropical islands and people having fun in this group, but that's what was going on for me. So feel free to post your own photos and stuff into this group, or questions or requests or whatever. Right? I'm looking for this group to be an active community, not just hinging on my stuff. Anywho's, much love, friends. Bye for now. Namaste. Speak to you again next week, if not before. Bye.